a cold February 5th, 2025. I don't think it's 5 degrees out. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Madison Planning Board. We don't have any, we do have an alternate, so I guess I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we elevate Tia to the board.
I'll second it.
A motion been made and seconded to elevate our brand-new alternate to the board tonight. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3 is approval of the agenda as presented, which is a little modified than the one we got online, so the one on...
I'd like a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 4 is approval of the minutes.
I have an addendum to make to that. On the second page, the first paragraph from the top, Littlefield stated he would be willing to be on the steering committee. I also mentioned that at the time, to be on it. And that's all I have for it.
I have a grammatical correction, or a punctuation correction. On the first page, the last full paragraph, Olson asked what the steps were. Wouldn't be a question, it would be a statement. And I just do that to prove that I read it. As I don't read
You
the
don't want
Z.
it as a question, because you're asking her a question, but you want it as a period now?
Yeah, I just asked what the steps were,
Okay.
but it's a statement of what I asked, not a question.
But she responded to you, so that's why it's, I mean, I'll make it a period, I don't care. Doesn't it?
Either way, okay. We could put both in there.
All right.
Any other additions, deletions? All those in favor? A motion to
Make a motion.
make a motion,
I'll second it.
and seconded to approve the minutes as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 5 is public comment.
Big crowd.
No public at all, so we will close the public comment. Old business. First thing on old business is the Coleman pit, which, as the provocateur and abutter, need to step down from the board.
Okay, we'll open up the discussion on the Coleman pit. We have a quorum, so we'll proceed. Kate, we had some,
I gave you everybody the pictures that Mark provided. In the packet.
what I'm looking for.
If you don't have them, and have yours, I have in here. I'll give you. You need 9? I can bring them on over to you.
Okay,
Here, use this. See, not, I just need it back. If you need copies, I can give you copies, but.
So there these, they're both a little different. See, he did little jagged, so I made copies of both, so.
okay,
All right.
yep.
I need to.
Well, you have to share them, like that's the
I'll
ones I
feel-
have,
I'll-
yeah, because I emailed them to everybody before, but you guys can share them.
Here.
I just remember to give them back to me.
Yeah.
Which ones I have.
Just- Have you seen these, Dave?
No.
Yes.
You got them right there? Okay. Adam, how about you? You got them?
Yep.
Okay. Kyle?
I have seen them, but
I already sent them to you folks,
Yeah.
and in your packets, but Dave and Adam didn't have them, so they didn't come to the last meeting. That's why they have them in their packets.
Hey, don't call me out like that.
Well, no, I didn't mean it that way.
You're in
You know
good
what I mean.
company.
This is what it's still, the referee should, I still got my whistle on, and like, running out the door.
Perfect, when we get out of hand.
Two of these here, map 203. And we have a picture, we have two pictures attached. Mark, are you familiar with the,
These are the questions, so I'll give you my notes. How's that?
Okay.
Okay?
very good.
I don't know if you had yours, but that's my stuff.
Have you seen this, Mark? You have a copy?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Looking at the first one, we'd like to know what the pictures are showing. And why is it important?
If you look at the land glide, the aerial from the
Yeah, that's pretty obvious there.
map,
This is the aerial map?
and this is just off of land glide, the boundary survey. And this photo would be in the near corner.
So it'd be on the bottom of the.
Yep. Looking towards the big oak tree here.
Okay.
And Onyx shows it too.
So the aerial one is basically looking north-south, let's say?
It's correct, yep.
Okay, and what is significant, Mark, on this versus the picture?
The significance of this is this lot is rural residential with no gravel permit.
Mm-hmm.
And so any excavation within 20 feet of this line actually is contrary to 155E to the west of that line.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, it's not a survey, but gives you kind of an idea.
And I brought it up on Onyx right now, and Onyx is confirming the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's onyx? I pay good money for land glide.
I pay good money for this.
He's still running the free version.
I've got this for free through the Snowmobile Club until the end of this month. And then after that, we have to pay $120 a year.
It's not
Yeah, it's about what land glide
Yeah.
is.
But I'd say it's very clear. There are no survey monuments out there?
Oh, yeah, there are.
There are.
Yeah, there are, the corners are there.
The corner that is shown right here, is that,
That corner is not, but there is a big oak tree that is blazed.
that oak tree is blazed, okay.
Yeah.
And where does that show on this map, Mark? On this-
Big oak tree is right, would be right there.
Okay. Kate, can I mark these?
Sure.
And this
I'll
southern
send you
corner
an
is
email
pinned,
copy,
Mark?
Paul, and I'll take those.
The southern corner is pinned.
In the south, yes, yeah.
And this picture here is showing the oak tree. It's right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Very clear. And whose fence is this? Is this Coleman's fence?
Yes,
They own both sides of the fence.
I was gonna say both lots belong to Coleman.
yes. But they do have part of the bypass corridor fenced in too, because that fence goes up through here.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the bypass corridor on this? Right here, over here.
The former bypass corridor.
Still current. until they dispose of property? Because they still haven't sold that lot, correct?
They haven't, no,
Yeah, that lot's
no,
still.
because the portion of that goes through my property, I sent them $500 to get my name on it, to get in line.
Right, the opportunity.
Does Coleman own the piece that goes through his land, or adjacent to his land?
I do not know. I assume that if they haven't done, I assume they would do them all together, so. So I assume he does not, but I do not know.
Okay, so what we're showing here is verification that there's been excavation beyond or on a lot that does not have a permit.
And it's rural residential.
Forgive me if I forget, but have we notified Coleman at all in regards to this? I know we had talked about meeting out there at one point.
I don't think we have, correct, Kate?
We started off notifying them to do a site,
Over a year ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we haven't talked to them since, no, because
Okay.
we've been waiting for pictures from Mark,
Yep.
back and forth, and didn't have a quorum, and all kinds of fun things, so.
On this photo, Mark, is there any encroachment onto your property?
They're too close, but there's nothing over the line. There are trees over the line, rather, but they should be, from an opposing abutter, they should be 50 feet,
Yeah.
and they're more like 15.
On their excavation, but their clearing is to your line, correct?
Well, it's within 15 feet.
Okay, the clearing's within 15 feet, what about the excavation?
And the excavation's right there,
Right to that 15 feet?
yeah.
Okay.
Where, do you know where Mark's lot is? Is there,
This one, I
this
believe.
is Mark?
Pretty sure.
This is you, Mark? This your lot here?
No,
No?
that's my path, this is
Oh,
me.
oh, opposite side,
opposite,
sorry,
okay.
I was
This is,
backwards.
okay. So they've actually estimated it to the bypass border as well, based on this. Unless that's just clearing, that might be just clearing.
Any specific questions from the board?
So Mark's is this one that's highlighted to the south,
Okay.
and the bypass is right here.
Kyle, anything?
No. I haven't been here that long, but what is the course of action for something like this?
I believe the next thing is we're gonna have to bring it to our attorney and have the attorney
Notify them.
notify them that they're in violation of 155E, and they need to come before us to have a discussion about this, and how they're gonna rectify it, how they're gonna remediate the actions that have been taken so far.
Any other questions from the board? Paul? Anything? Adam?
I don't think so. I think it seems pretty clear.
This is basically what we wanted to find out and discover if there was encroachment, and there appears to be.
We haven't sent, Kate, we haven't sent these photos to our attorney yet?
Not those yet,
Okay.
no, because we were gonna discuss it tonight, so once Paul's marking them, you're marking them up correct.
Yeah, one of them is marked, this plan is marked, and I just indicated on here where the oak tree is.
Okay, I'll send those off to her.
Okay.
Yep.
So I would think we would need a motion to move forward with this, with our attorney.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
second it.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I think that would conclude the hearing on this. We've directed Kate to send a letter to the attorney to give them this information that basically answers their questions that they have. Kate, anything else that you can think of we need?
No, but I'm gonna grab those from you,
Yeah.
so I don't forget,
Okay.
because that would be really bad if I don't have it. Just this bad, 'cause that's all my correspondence.
This here.
That,
I
and
think
then
that-
that.
yeah.
Perfect, that's it,
And I
you're
think-
good.
And I think I found mine here somewhere.
That's all right, I share.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good.
It's amazing how you can sit here and lose papers. Oh, well, that was the easy part. Number
Kate, Kate, I'm sending you a screenshot that I took of, from Onyx to
To my email.
to your email, so you'll have that.
Let me read- I don't know, I think she gave me yours. I'm sorry. I'll send that to
Okay.
the attorney too.
Number 2 on the old business is master plan. And what do we know about the master plan, Kia?
All right. Well, do we want to dig into it and
Um,
go, or do you want to just
I,
talk about it and keep?
I just have a
moving
comment. I think
Sure.
Tia did a great job. I don't know if you saw this, Mark.
I did.
And I went through it, looking at it, and it's a great start, a great roadmap to start with, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
And so, and I don't know how many people got a chance to look over any of this stuff, which really seemed quite comprehensive. So I guess the question is, unless I'm wrong, next step, what do we do?
All right. Well, I put together a bunch of stuff. I've been taping things up around you as you've been sitting. But basically, I would like to go through a little bit of a visioning board with you guys as the planning board.
Yep.
And also as a steering committee, just kind of go over the 2 major goals that we have, creating a master plan, but also creating an implementation plan. So, and then kind of like work backwards. So the implementation plan would be the major goal at the end of the year, to have that to kind of bring us forward. The master plan has a couple of things that we have to do and work on, just to get that document going. So the first thing would be to put together a list of people and different committees that we would like to, you know, be involved in creating sections of the master plan. And we can kind of go through each bit of the agenda here, but then we also need to put together a questionnaire and a survey for the residents. So that's the work tonight. And that's why you guys have sticky notes. So we'll do a little bit of that and get the ideas going. But that's the plan for tonight.
Okay. You may go ahead and lead it, because you are,
Okay.
because,
All right. Do you want to finish out going through the meeting here, or do you want to just cut out and take an hour and a half?
I know, I
to do it?
I kind of looked at
So-
that and wondered which way would be better. Kay, do you have a preference?
Well, if you're gonna do I mean, my concern about this is if we have cases, how are we gonna handle that?
If we want,
If we have cases that come before the board,
then we're probably gonna have to jump out of our regular meeting.
right, I mean, I don't know how you wanna handle that, because if they're gonna do a steering committee, is it going to be a separate entity from this board? How is that working? I don't know what the mechanics are gonna do.
And I don't know, we're gonna have to work that out.
Because if it's, you know, if we're doing another meeting another night, I'm tapped on meetings because I've heard from my ZBA attorney that he wants me now to have 2 meetings a month, so I'm.
You what?
yeah, to get through.
Do I get
some
twice as
stuff.
much money?
10 times,
So,
10 times
I
as
know
much.
that's just for right now, but I'm like, I mean, yeah.
Well, I
So-
think, why don't we just progress this way and,
And if we have cases, then we'll have to put it on hold.
Yes,
Because that's gonna take precedence, that's
Well,
what
you
I
did,
wanna
you
make sure.
started earlier. You start the meeting at 6:30, if you wanna take up some of this,
Do that.
if you have cases.
why don't we just see how it goes?
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna combine everything together then, or how do you want me to do this?
I would think you could combine everything together. And I just wondered, as far as like tonight's meeting, do we wanna get the rest of our work done and then do this, or do this and then do the rest of the work?
I think we should finish out this portion and then jump into that separately. I don't think you should mix the two in between.
Okay,
That's my thought, but anybody else can change my thought.
it's more you getting your minutes.
Yeah, I think
in
we
a
should finish
comprehensive-
one section of an agenda. This is our agenda here, and then you've got a separate agenda here, so you kind of don't want to mix the two.
Okay.
I think we
Yeah,
have to do
it
the
is a lot.
formation of the steering committee too before
Right,
we
we're gonna
actually,
have that.
to
I
do
don't even know where
that.
that's going.
Right.
Okay,
So now you've got your draft of the planning board application.
so why don't we skip master plan and draft planning board? No, why don't we skip master plan and formation of steering committee and do the draft planning board application waiver?
And do those at the end. Okay.
And then we'll do the master plan stuff at the end.
Perfect.
So, somewhere in this pile of paper, we have a waiver form.
Kate, great job. Great job. Exactly what I was expecting.
All right, well,
So this would be a waiver request form. This form shall be used for all requests for waivers submitted to the Madison Planning Board regarding subdivision, site plan review, and other applications. The applicant shall complete the form and submit it to the board as required by the relevant sections of town code. The applicant must demonstrate that the justification meets the requirements of the specified in the town code. Attach additional sheets if necessary. A separate form shall be submitted for each waiver request. And then it goes through the nuts and bolts of who you
I
are.
think it's a good idea to have this.
I think it's a good idea to have this.
Awesome.
Because we get in halfway through a meeting and they say, well, I need a waiver, and it's like, well, it's too late to have a waiver. So,
And the ZBA, I have a waiver attached to their application too,
Yeah.
so kind of makes sense.
yeah,
The general plans and so,
so,
and you don't need to have a public hearing to do this.
oh, okay, you chase that
You
down.
can.
Just vote on it.
I think I'd do a motion and vote on it, yes, but you don't need to have a public hearing for that, because that's just adding to your application that you formed.
Yeah.
So this will be attached to the application.
Yes, once you approve it, I'm gonna get rid of all the ones upstairs and do a new application, so.
And they might have to submit 4 or 5 of these if they want 4 or 5 waivers.
Yeah, they'll have to make their own
Yep,
copies.
yep, absolutely. Nope. Don't incentivize them to get waivers.
I'm not a fan of the waivers, but
Me either. Make a motion, we adopt this waiver request form to be added to our, all of our planning applications.
Second?
1 second, Paul?
Yeah.
Motion been made and seconded to adopt the waiver request form. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, that's a great start. Chairman's report, I guess I don't have anything to report.
Mark, before we go into that, under new business, and I'm sorry I didn't get this on the agenda, Kate, maybe I can't bring it up, but I think that Dave Scarborough talked to you about the watershed management
No, we talked to Linda.
plan.
We talked to Linda.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Anyway, this watershed management plan that's coming up with the land that we're acquiring, or, I'm sorry, writing the management plan for the watershed of the lake. And they would like to have a planning board member on that committee for the watershed management plan. And I've asked to be that member, and I have said I would be it,
Yeah.
but I need board's approval.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to make Paul Littlefield the planning board representative to the watershed management committee.
Second?
A motion is made and seconded to,
Who's second?
Box.
I'm writing it. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay.
I thought you had that app with this AI.
I worked on it today, we did it, it was very, very cool.
Oh my God.
Oh, we're doing it.
Oh,
The minutes are like, done
AI.
in 5 minutes.
Where is Elon? He's around here somewhere.
All right, so we appointed, Paul Littlefield.
I'm more worried about Arnold Schwarzenegger coming out of the woodwork on us.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Anyone want to be on the committee? And that's the one that we get a loan for,
Right,
and as long as we do the thing, they pay us back, so.
right, and SLAM is offered to cover the loan, so there's no money out of the town
Oh, okay,
for that.
so, cool. And how many members does SLAM have?
How many total members?
Yeah, just about everybody on the lake?
Well, a lot of people from in town, we're getting more people from in town too.
Huh.
In fact, Nancy Martin is on our board now.
Okay.
And so I think we've got probably 200 members, maybe a little more.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Well, good. Like I said, I don't have anything to report. Selectmen, do you have anything new and exciting?
It's all kinds of exciting things, but I don't think not on the top of my head, I don't think I have anything to report unless you guys have questions.
Okay, good. Correspondence and administration, we have a gravel pit restoration bond for Pike Industries from K.M. Williams, Pike Industries. Thursday, January 9th, please find attached the continuous certificate for the gravel pit restoration bond for Pike Industries site within the town of Madison. Pike respectfully requests the town consider allowing Pike to convert the bond to a continuous surety bond. A continuous surety bond remains in full force and effect until canceled. We feel this would be more convenient for all parties. Many thanks for your continuing help and consideration. If you have any questions, I can be reached at.
I think they asked for that to be
Last year.
converted last year as well.
Yeah, they do. Standard.
It might be worth reaching out to the attorney and seeing what that is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just run it by.
Did we talk about it before? Is the 10,000 enough?
It's not even close, but we can't change it.
Uh,
As far, I'd be happy to have the attorney asked about that, but my understanding is that whatever the fee was set at when it was done, we can't alter that, is what my understanding is. But I'd be more than happy to ask the attorney and get her opinion,
Okay, I mean, I would agree.
because 10,000 isn't gonna do anything for restoration in that pit at this point. I mean, you're probably looking at closer to 50 to 100,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, maybe something like that, 100.
Yeah, if not more, but probably 50 to 100 at least.
Yeah.
Do you want me to send an email to her and ask her if that amount should be increased?
Yes, please.
Remember, I think
And we're also inquiring about the different style of bond, correct?
Yep.
So should we have a vote or just an understanding that we'll run it
Well,
by?
I can send her an email and report back to you at the March meeting. Does
Okay.
that work, or whatever you want me to do?
That sounds good.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Largest aggregate company in the world.
Really. Of course they are.
I'm gonna go through my minutes. I
Pike is
think
one
we
of their
dealt with
smallest
this
companies
before.
they own,
Oh, really?
one of the
I
smallest.
was gonna say Pike, and Pike's
Oh,
a decent
right
size.
here.
Yeah.
Jay Buckley, back, I knew I'd find it.
What?
Back in February of last year, Jay Buckley brought up, the bond and asked if 10,000 was enough to restore what has to be restored, it is getting large. And then that was what, I'd have to go through my actual, these are just my notes, but, I think I actually asked her, but I'll get back to you all on that. I will look it up and see, cause I don't have my minutes that are final down here. But I will definitely check it out.
That would have likely been before we changed attorneys too, correct?
We had her then, didn't we? Yes. We had Carrie Ann, I think, at this point. Yes, we did.
Okay.
But let me go through my notes, my minutes upstairs, and I'll make sure. Before I say yay or nay, how's that? But I'll send her an email as well. Yep.
Okay. And I think that is all of our agenda short of the master plan. So now we can go back to the master plan.
Okay. All right. Well, so you have your agenda for that. You can pull that out.
So do we need to form the steering committee before we get into that?
That was my question as well. And I apologize, I've been here for 2 meetings. It's a busy basketball season, but
Understandable.
T, on your notes here, you have all the members of the planning board listed here as being members of the steering committee.
I do. I wasn't sure if Adam and David were going to be a part of it. We didn't get to ask
Okay.
it last time.
Well,
so.
my question on this, will we continue with that, or would we drop people off as we get other people in town involved?
Sure,
Yeah,
we can.
I gotta tell you, I'm on another board, a school board in another town, so I don't have a lot of time. You know, so if that were the case, other people joining, then I could fall off. That would make my life a little bit easier.
well, I think this is the problem we've run into quite a bit, is this board itself doesn't have the time to take on a project like this. I mean, I know I personally don't have the time.
Yes, I think that's why it's probably important to reach out to other people in town to make sure we have.
I posted the
Yes,
posting
thank you.
everywhere, so.
No response, Kate?
What do you hear
Are
for?
you not here for that, are you, Evelyn?
I am here for that.
Oh, you are? Oh, sorry. I didn't know
love that.
I'm just listening and
Okay.
trying to
Good.
figure out like what's happening, and the Housing Coalition is very interested in doing what they can do to support the effort. As a
Oh.
Madisonite, I wanna be here for Madison, but I also represent the Housing Coalition.
Great.
Great.
Well, I think that's through the library. The library defaulted to my wife, and so she has agreed to become part of that committee.
So,
And I am stepping away from the planning board. I've got this meeting and one more meeting to go. I'm more than happy to participate tonight, but I totally echo, I've said that right along, and this is nothing against you, Tia. I'll tell you right now, I'm amazed at what you've put together on this already. It's incredible. But I have been on record as saying that I don't feel that we have the time as a board to really try to take this on. I personally, if I was staying on the board, would not be wanting to participate in this, just because I feel like it's gonna be a lot of work to get this done. again, cannot say enough that I'm amazed at what you've put together. It's very thought out, and I read through it and was blown away by it. But yeah, I would, like I said, I'd stay here and participate tonight, but there's gonna be a lot of work involved in doing this correctly, and I mean, it shows, you've figured out it's gonna be a lot of work, but that's my concern, on that. And just like Mark said, if we get into a busy planning season, trying to do that with a planning meeting is gonna probably be difficult, so.
Well,
Okay.
that being the case, it becomes a separate meeting, a separate agenda, a separate everything, because it was 3 of us. You'll still have a quorum, correct? Yeah, you'll still have a quorum, but navigating 91A
Yeah,
is.
that would be a good question. What does the legal status of this steering committee have to be?
I don't think there was an RSA on how many people can be in your
So,
steering
right,
committee, so
yeah. The more,
I think everything that gets decided on in the steering committee meetings has to get approved by the board.
yeah.
Right.
So that was kind of one of my questions actually in the agenda later, was just the decision-making process and what gets put to the planning board to get voted on.
My concern would only be that if there are 4 members of the planning board on that steering committee meeting becomes a planning board meeting,
Yep.
regardless of your intent.
If we do it during the meeting, but if we do it
Even if
separate.
you,
No
even
matter
if you
what,
do it
'cause it's-
separate, because you have a quorum present, it would have to be posted as a planning board
Okay.
meeting.
Very good point.
Which is why I think the idea of bringing in outside people and having, 2 or even 3 members of the planning board that are willing to participate is a great idea. I think this is amazing. But the time that it's gonna take up and the amount of people that are involved, I think it would be better to have 2 or 3 members of the planning board and then other people involved in it.
Yeah, because our quorum is 4, correct? So as long as we keep it under 3 members of the planning board on it, then we don't run into that issue.
Correct. Yeah.
3 or less.
Would I count if I'm an alternate? Or-
Yes.
Legally
I-
speaking, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Well, would she? She'd have to be elevated in the meeting, correct? She'd have to be elevated to the planning board during the meeting, so
That'd be, yeah,
it'd be a,
that'd be a good
If there were
question.
a quorum of planning board members.
I think if there were a quorum of planning board members, regardless, she would be elevated in the eyes of
that's a good point.
RSA 91A.
Yep. So it'd have to be a maximum of 3, regardless.
But I,
So we get you're on it, Paul, and you, Mark?
I don't have to be, but
I would step away. My wife's gonna be on it anyway, so I would gladly step away. I mean,
I would gladly step away, but I think we've got,
Mark, let's fight over it.
I think we have an opportunity here now, if we don't get too involved in process, to get something,
Yes.
to get something done. And
then I'll go find a few more
And
people who are
we'll
not-
try to scare up some more people, and, I don't think everybody has to be at every meeting, because if we're doing like the conservation chapter, we don't need the librarian,
Right.
so, and I think, that's what a professional would do anyways, right?
And
So,
as we stated in the last meeting, we said between 5 and 10 people. I was thinking 10 was kind of lofty,
Yeah.
but if we concentrate on
but
someone from each board maybe, or, start there.
My experience has been, once you hit beyond 7, that's when you start to have problems.
nothing happens.
7 seems to be like the maximum number that I've ever seen that you can still effectively seem to get decisions made without too much back and forth. Once you break that 8th or 9th person, that's where it starts to be, there's just so much discussion that there's very little that gets accomplished. That's been my experience.
So who from here? volunteer?
Paul.
All Mark?
I guess me.
Mark,
And again,
Tim.
forgive me, I know I
Tim.
wasn't here at the last two, but we still, and you're probably gonna hate this question because it's a budget question, but we still have a $25,000 warrant
Yes.
article. Is the intent of the steering committee to actually fix our master plan in-house?
I would, yes,
Yes.
yes, and so whether we need that 25 or whether we don't, I don't know.
Okay,
Cause it may be we may have to run it by a planner just to make sure
Right.
everything is in place, so that's why.
I'm sure you'll
the
still
money
need something, I'm
was
just
put
trying
aside,
to give you an
Yeah.
idea.
was to make sure if we need to have somebody
Yeah.
just review what the finished product.
Yep,
So there'll need to be a secretary too, because Kate's not gonna be available. So somebody will.
I was
No, no.
out here getting that email on Saturday saying 2 more meetings at CBA, I was like, what? So.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So we'll need to have someone to take notes for those meetings, cause they will have to be meeting at 91A requirements, any of those meetings would have
And
to.
you would also have to have a video.
We could invite them if they want, but they wouldn't have.
Yeah, they don't have to be there, that's,
And we could make very cursory minutes too, it's not a legal document.
yeah, we could take notes.
The minutes could say, we met at 7:30 PM on Wednesday, and we discussed the land use chapter of the master plan. It's not,
And you still have to have a videographer too.
so,
It'll have to be posted as a workshop or whatever
yes,
it is.
yes.
Yeah.
Which I don't
Just
think
like
that-
do.
Video?
I don't
like
think that
do
it
with-
would need
Do
to
you
be
have to
posted.
have a video
I don't-
for steering?
might be
committee?
right.
I do, because I do with the
We can have a
conservation
work
workshop
meeting
meetings
without-
I have.
Yes,
Well, it's not
as
a-
long as you don't have a quorum, it wouldn't need to be posted because the steering committee isn't a formal board.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as long as, like I said, as long as it's only 3 of you, it wouldn't need to be posted. I mean, I think they're always invited, PEG TV's always invited, but we wouldn't have to have that present.
And see, I do with conservation for their workshop meeting when they're doing that.
But that's conservation.
But they also have a quorum present at every workshop,
Okay,
and I think that's the kicker.
Yep.
okay.
and they have so much more fun.
I'm new to this, so I.
Did they really?
Yeah, so I don't wanna sort of ignore the formalities of it, but I don't think we should get too tripped up over them either. Or we won't get, or we'll come back next year and want $100,000, so.
I mean, maybe a town meeting will give you $100,000 this year.
so.
We decided to use
And a
secretary,
grader.
but not videographer.
But I think Tia's
Can we
presenting
take
us with the structure that we could, fill out relatively easy, I think. I think one of the hardest things is to make the community, is to get the community input in a non-biased way.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Are we still on number 7, or is it time to jump?
Well, I guess I just have one question before we go forward. What is the intent of tonight's meeting with this? Is the intent to dive into it as a steering committee? Or is,
Um,
and I know,
Maybe just getting acquainted with what this document is and what we have to do, and then say, okay, we're gonna come back and try to look for some new members and maybe work on it next meeting.
Yeah, I think to try to go too far into this tonight without the new members involved.
oh, and I think
Would be
to
a
get
mistake
a
for them.
jump start before everybody that's going to be involved is present. Obviously, I wanna go through it and see where we're at, but I'd hate to dive into it too far without members present that are going to be on the committee.
Tia, if I may, what my suggestion would be, if you went through items 1, 2, and 3, those are all really super important things that the whole planning board has to be aware of, without a doubt, because that's the stuff that is what the planning board would have to vote on and decide on. And the rest of that stuff, you might want to wait, as Adam suggested, until the whole steering committee's present. And that way, you don't have to hash it out twice with other members once the steering committee's formed. And maybe discuss, you have on here, one of your packets was the list of people for other people to be potential members and stakeholders, maybe finish up with that potentially? Is that,
Okay, I can read through the agenda if you'd like me to do that here. And then we can, after we're done with the planning board meeting, if we want to just meet the 3 folks that will be on the steering committee and Evelyn, if you decide to join, and dive into it a little bit further. There is going to be some work for each committee and department in the town. So I can always come back, I mean, I will be here next time anyway, but get it on the agenda for the planning board members to do their visioning session, because I would like to know, in order to update the land use section, what your goals are for the next 5 to 10 years and where you see land use in Madison being. So that was a part of it tonight. And that's kind of a fun piece of it too, a more fun aspect. I need to know, but I also want you guys to be able to look toward the future and give some of your ideas for where you'd like to see the town go.
Yeah, even if we had something for town meeting.
Yeah, so I do have something that I would like to present at the town meeting, or just have a couple volunteers and stop me whenever, but, so this is like a mini version of it, but I thought it would be kind of fun to have some of the projects that are going on in Madison right now, as well as a link to the survey. So a piece of what I really was hoping to work on with you guys now is putting together that questionnaire. So in order to have engagement from the community, we need to ask them to fill out our survey. We need to come up with the questions that will kind of show us where their current needs and kind of desires are for the towns, and that will help us make sure that the vision section of the master plan really reflects what the needs and wants of our community members are.
That might be a good venue to go out and talk and try to recruit some members to do
Yes,
this.
so I was hoping to also use like Google Forms just to make it easier. So being able to scan this at the voting session in March would be great. Have people come up and actually make it interactive, where they could, you know, put a sticker where they think, you know, like on some of the different goals that maybe they would like to see, kind of something more fun like that.
Yeah.
And then so like some of the upcoming projects, the Route 16 widening project, the chain of ponds conservation, and the potential bike path, or the Comet Branch Rec Trail path, having that on there. And then also what and why. What is a master plan and why are we doing it? Basically to be good stewards of our land and make sure that we're current and we're the ones putting forth, you know, the vision and goals for the future land use of the
Turn
community.
that and get it on TV.
Yep, sure. And this is a total rough draft, so the idea would be to narrow in on what we want to put on here.
Yep.
So this is just my idea. But then also to ask townsfolk to, you know, put some of their goals on there, like so write out a sticker and slap it on there so that everybody can see. And, you know, like fill a little jar with why they love Madison. So make it kind of more engaging. So we'd be standing there with this, but like that big
Right.
and like a table.
Kiosk guys.
Yes. So that was one of the things that I wanted to show you. So I think that that would just be a one way to engage with our community members. Another way would be to host different panels, and so actually I reached out with Sarah from MWB Housing, so I'm happy that you're here tonight, Evelyn, thank you. But for each section of the master plan, I feel like we could do our due diligence in asking members of different civics groups to come and speak with the town. So housing, or conservation, transportation, and give anybody who would like to come and engage with the panel a chance to do so. And then we're learning too. So we're listening and we're learning. That's like the first step, is really
And what is your background?
marketing. Marketing. So I've already done like the secondary data, but we really need that primary data.
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
the first step, is
Yeah.
collecting the data, and then we analyze it, and then we can compile it, make sure that everybody's plans are cohesive, and that's our master plan. That's what we kind of want at the end of the year, I would say. Unless we want to speed it up.
So the key to the master plan is learning what citizens want in their town.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough to be able to participate a little bit in OSIP's work that they've done over the last year. And they did a few public sessions where they invited the public out, broke us up into smaller groups, maybe 6 at a table. There were probably 10 tables. And asked all of us the same question. And in a small group of 6, we had to come up with our visions for the town to whatever that question was. And at the end of the day, there were 2 or 3 sessions like that, and it gave really good information to the steering committee to say, oh, well, we really thought the town wanted this, but how interesting that everybody said they wanted that. So sometimes we assume we know what all of our neighbors want, and for me, the master plan is an opportunity to get a fresh look at the community and what the community actually wants by hearing it from them. And so I would encourage as many public sessions that are done in an organized format to gather data and information from people. Yes, people need some steering because not everybody understands what a master plan is. Like starting each session and saying, this is what a master plan is. This allows you to be in charge of your community. That's hugely empowering to people. And so I would highly recommend doing that, and I don't know which person said it, but I absolutely agree, I think it was Paul Marks. If you kick this off with some sort of a public forum of that nature, I agree you might find some people in the audience who say, wow, that was really interesting. I didn't even know this process existed, and I'd like to be a part of it because I care about my community. So that would be my suggestion for kicking something off and potentially finding additional citizens to participate. You can still use the list of experts in the field, for lack of a better term. We still need those people to come to the table and help the average citizen understand what we're doing here, but huge opportunity for Madison to say, what do we want to look like in the next 10 years? And then once that's all done a year from now, you begin putting your zoning ordinance changes together to drive whatever that vision is.
Yes, so that would be the implementation plan. Thank you, Evelyn. So, 100% agree. And I feel like we really want to come out of this with 2 separate pieces. One is the master plan, the goals and the vision. What do our residents want? What do, the different civic groups want from Madison? And then the implementation plan would be, how do we get there? So that's not only saying in 5 to 10 years we want this, but how do we get there? And so that would kind of round it out. And after looking at the last master plan, it didn't it was missing a couple sections, so
Missing a lot.
it has a lot of great things, and it was a lot of hard work, so I don't wanna put it down because it's great. It's amazing for what it is, and obviously a lot of people came together to make that happen. So it's a good start, it's just outdated. So it also has a lot of extra sections that, you know, not every town's master plan has, so that's good too. So there's some pluses, some things that were kind of lacking. They didn't have the data, the survey. They said, oh, we hosted a survey, but they didn't show the data. So I think that's a really important part for buy-in, is to see. So we're doing our due diligence as a board. We're going out, we're hosting the sessions, we're inviting feedback in, and then we're showing them what they said, and we're giving it back to them, organized and neat and ready to go. So that's an important section. And then that final section is the implementation plan. So it didn't have an implementation plan. It has suggestions kind of scattered throughout that I went through, and I was picking from all different pages. It needs to be compact.
Concise.
Yeah, succinct, right in the back. And that's that final piece. That's kind of the end piece that we want to have when we're all done with this.
Like, the process is gonna take longer than what everybody thinks.
Yes.
And
Yeah, it's not just
it's not
one.
gonna happen fast. So it's gonna take some time to do it. And, but there has to be a starting point, and that's what we're doing, so.
That's true. So does that help you guys out a little bit there? Do you have questions?
No,
I just wanna know where you get all your time.
yeah.
I don't know. My kids are with my parents right now, so that's good.
Mine too. Mine too.
I know, right? Yeah, so that's kind of why for this meeting, we invited the public in. Thank you, Kate, for putting that out there. But also, it was because everybody on the board was, you know, saying the same things we were just talking about, that, you know, time is scarce and this is a good time for everybody, so we just kind of hosted it now. And I appreciate all of your time and attention to this.
I think if you have the energy to sort of lead this, then I think we're very lucky, and
Mhm.
I think that's the only way it's ever gonna happen. So.
Ready to go.
And you sound
I'm
better
excited
than
about
any
it.
professional planner I've heard, so.
I don't know about that. I'm definitely not a professional planner,
So-
and I'm not trying to say I am. I just think that when a group of people can come together and put all of their energy and efforts into
Yeah.
something, they get it done clearly.
And it certainly does need new thoughts, which is really good. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, the world has changed in the last 5 years or 10 years, and Madison has changed as well. And sort of take an inventory of where we are and where we want to go is, so.
Yeah, and maybe it seems a little bit more complex or a little more intimidating than it needs to be, but it really is, when it comes down to it, listening to our community members, gathering their thoughts and ideas, and then kind of compiling that and presenting it back to them. So it doesn't have to be, it is a long process, but I don't think it has to be so scary. So I hope all the papers aren't intimidating, but it's just that I'm trying to be thorough.
Yes, yes. So, should we go through more of this? Or you had,
Yeah,
or you go ahead and lead.
okay. I'm not sure when folks who are not going to be a part of the steering piece of it are
Yeah.
gonna wanna go, but I'll just.
We're gonna
tell
make
ya.
them.
All right, let's do it then. Okay.
I can find the door. It's
I
fine.
know, okay.
I'd do it.
All right, so let me just get where we are. So I think what I'd like to do with you first is, I'm gonna skip down to number 2, and we're gonna jump into what the planning board members can do. So this is what I'm probably going to be asking all of the different department heads to do, as well as other civic groups. So I really just wanna know where you see Madison in 5 to 10 years, and what some of your bigger projects and ideas are. So I wanna give you a little bit of time to kind of scribble those out on your Post-its, and then what we'll do is put them up on the board. We're not gonna shoot any of them down or anything like that, but just tack them all up there and then maybe organize them all, put them all together. And then Evelyn, do you wanna join in?
Sure.
All right.
Do you want a sticky note?
I don't, not tonight.
No?
I haven't had a chance to really go through a lot of this.
Come over.
Thank you.
Here you go. Do you wanna come over here a minute?
Yeah, let me grab my drink.
Okay. Oh. All right, Carl. Take your things.
And how did Ossipee do? Did they do a good job?
And then here is an.
I don't think citizens can do a bad job
Yeah.
if they're telling you what it is they want. Our
Yeah.
job is to listen,
Yeah.
and I thought the citizens did an excellent job expressing what they wanted their community to be. They talked about everything from what they wanted their center to look like. They talked about, how they might like to see Route 16 changed or kept the same, depending on who was answering the question. It was excellent. Everybody was honest and open, and, it wasn't a time to chastise somebody for what they think. It was a time to listen to what they think. And what was interesting was, 60 people in the room, most of them had the same ideas. Most of them were going in the same direction, and I'm not sure people thought that on the way in the door. It's kind of, oh God, look who's here. They still care about their family the same way you do. So it was really a great exercise.
When did we get having people to attend?
So
that's
they
my
did an
question.
evening session. They hired a professional to do these sessions. Very much like you're doing with Tia. So there was a point person. The steering committee went out and got pizzas donated from local businesses, and those local businesses have a lot of buy-in, right, into the outcome of the master plan. So again, if you explain to people why this is important, they'll show up. So they went out and got pizzas, they had cupcakes, and they did it sort of during dinner hour. There were a couple of little kids there, not many, but you know what? If that's what you want your town to be, they should be there. So, it was excellent. I thought it was a great experience, and I'm hopeful we can do something here as well. It may be on a smaller scale. I don't think we have as many people as Ossipee.
What's
but-
their population, like 10,000 or?
No.
Gosh, no.
No, they're not that much bigger than us. I
4
wanna s-
maybe?
I wanted to say that they're like just under 5,
Just under 5, yeah.
I think, for Austin.
Last I checked,
But
we
no,
were
they
at
had,
2711.
they had a great mix of business people and just regular average
Thought we
Joe,
moved 3,000.
coming in and saying, this is what I'd like
Last
to
I
see,
checked, it was
you know.
20 just
I'd like my
over
child to be able to
2,100.
walk
We
from
have
school to
just
the
over
library,
2,100.
Yeah,
for
it's a little
example.
high.
Yeah.
Okay. See, you're on your pie chart with the land that's in current use. I assume that there's a lot of people that aren't listed there.
Yeah, me.
Right.
Yeah, they're not on the,
Up in the pie chart itself. I can see a lot of, I was surprised to see some people listed there and some other people not. So I'm just assuming it's just kind of certain people out of each group, kind of.
yeah.
Because like the
so-
biggest ones are obviously all called out, but then when we get into the smaller stuff here,
Yeah, I think it's only the bigger
A few,
ones are
okay.
listed, yeah. And it's only the ones in recreation.
yes, yeah, I figured that
So
out.
that was kind of like my own data, I was
Yeah.
just trying to wrap my head around, you know, future land use and what it looks like to have 65% of your total land area in current use,
Mhm.
and then half of that being in current use recreation.
Yep.
So, are there like possibilities there to work with those landowners? I noticed that was in the old master plan too, just easements or, you know, better use of the recreation.
I assume the left-hand columns, those are actually conservation easements, I assume, correct?
Some of the bigger ones are, like, I wanna say like McNair and, the Nature Conservancy.
The only reason I asked was because there's some land that I know is in current use recreation that wasn't listed there, so I assumed that it was probably that was conservation easements.
And that's my own, like, I went on Avatar and that was just for
Yeah.
me, so I
Okay.
did that manually,
Okay.
but if there's a
Yeah, there's
easier
definitely
way
some,
to get
I
it-
don't know, I honestly don't know, I know of at least 2 landowners that aren't listed there that are definitely in the recreation, they get the rec discount,
Okay.
and they're not listed there, so I was just wondering.
Yeah, so,
No, there's a big one across the street from me, 70 acres. It's not here.
I don't really consider it big until we get into at least 500.
So that's Conservation Commission.
Yeah, it's part of their,
Yeah, that's
part
Conservation.
of their land, okay.
Oh, so we don't have Conservation Commission. We don't have town land in here.
I didn't see it either.
Town has what, is it around like 20 properties the town owns?
probably because it
25
doesn't show
properties,
up
something like
on
Yeah, I
Avatar,
think- yeah,
it's
maybe
municipal.
20.
Yeah.
I think a couple
I was looking
thousand.
for,
Yeah.
you know, land
Yeah,
use that's over
Conservation
10
Commission, that's
acres.
we have list.
So maybe that could be something to look at too, just
Yep. Yep.
to see if there's any relationships we can work with people. So, alright, are you guys done? You have some fun goals, some good uses of land that you'd like to put up on the board here in the 5 to 10 year range?
I really wish I had the enthusiasm you have on this.
Come
I really do.
You're not excited.
Stay on, Dave. You-
No, I will not, I will,
Come on.
I have no chance of gaining that level of enthusiasm. I really don't.
Come on, snowmobiling.
Yeah, yeah.
That's land use, right? That's easements. Alright, so what do we got?
I wanna lower the average age of our citizenship. It's number
Alright.
1. Vision should start out high.
Alright, is that a 5 or a 10? Maybe 10.
That's for the rest of our lives.
Forever.
Yeah.
And what does it say?
Lower the average age of our citizens.
Oh, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
I can get behind
We can
that.
work towards it,
Yes.
or we can just pretend it doesn't exist as a problem.
Mine says affordable housing,
I got that.
Alright.
which is, which
To
is.
lower the average age, you've
Let's
gotta
do
have
that.
affordable housing. So
Great.
the question in a master plan is, how do you get to that vision, right?
Yeah,
So you're spot on.
you change regulations.
But then you changed your densities.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Not in the whole town,
In places.
in places.
More cluster housing to cultivate neighborhoods.
Could, Banfield Howell have twice as many houses?
Yes.
It absolutely
It
could.
could.
I have a
but-
teenage daughter, and she has like nothing to do in this town, right? So they need something for the teens. There's nothing
Something to
for the
do.
teens to do for her. Nothing for her to do.
I mean, there's
I'm
plenty
trying,
to do,
Carl,
she's
I'm
just
trying.
gonna,
She plays sports, she does that, but there's not many people her age in town, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not like a place close by that the kids her age can hang out. It was like that when my son went through too, but at least they had more kids. So the rec program, the baseball, basketball was much bigger. And, it's just nothing for that's what you always hear from the kids who are.
That age group,
That
that,
age group,
that
yeah.
12 to 17 age group.
They can't join the Conway rec program, that they do cool things there, they don't let them join that after school up there. It's
Teen
it's
center.
frustrating, yeah.
Yeah.
get them out in the woods.
Well, yeah, she does, I mean, do you have a 15-year-old girl?
No.
All right, I'm sad.
If you can get mine out of her bedroom, win-win.
She's
I
on
mean,
the
we
ski
have a
jumping
beautiful-
team at school, she's hit the 20, 30 meters.
There you go.
That's
Only one home meet this year
How
out
did
here.
you build her a ski jump?
She broke her tailbone.
There
Oh,
we go.
no.
Her career has
Well, there's a
ended.
vision.
She's like, I will never bleep and do that again.
Did she do that at the recent meet, or?
First one of the season.
Oh.
Yeah, but more power to her, she did it.
See, my priorities are quite different than where everyone else is. I'm at upgrade and improve the roads.
No, you're not different. So, Mr. Mark
See,
Steer
now, I can remember when
was saying road
the people in
maintenance.
town didn't want
Road
their roads
maintenance.
improved.
I mean, I don't want them necessarily improved to being super highways, but I want them to be built correctly so that we can have them last.
You know.
I want to, full reconstruction, do it once, do it right, and then not have to worry about them as frequently anymore.
And that was on the last one too. It was, and
Oh, yeah.
that was upgrading class 6 to class 5, and then possibly opening more, and that was also happening in Idlewild too, right?
Oh, they did that.
Also, if they see a problem on a road, you
I
take
don't-
care of it. You
Well,
fix
and
it.
I
You
don't
wait.
really want to. I want to focus on the roads we have, because the roads we have, a lot of them are in really bad shape. I'd much rather fix the roads we have, and I mean, you're talking about doubling taxes if you want to improve class 6 roads to class 5 roads. I think you're talking about doubling taxes to do that. But if you're talking about just getting the roads that we have up to snuff,
And keeping them that way.
well, and that's it. Once you get a road good, you have to keep it. You gotta do the proper every 5 to 10 year maintenance on that road.
Never gets cheaper.
It doesn't. And we don't, right now, we don't allocate enough money as it is to our roads to be able to even keep them the way they are today. So that's where
And
I'm.
that's a part of this too, is influencing the CIP, so the selectmen keep that in order. But the planning board, thank you. Or correct me
Technically,
if
the
I'm
planning
wrong.
board, technically, the planning
No.
board is the purview,
Yeah.
it's our
Not-
purview, but we
not
have
It is,
tasked.
technically,
but-
statutorily.
Statutorily, the planning board has purview over the CIP, but we have an article on the warrant this year to create an RSA, statutory CIP group.
Yep.
Then we just have to fill that group as well as this one.
Alright.
What stinks is a lot of the boards and stuff we have, it's the same people.
Yep.
It's been the same people. How do we get, you know,
We got
some
to you.
different
More
people? Well,
voices.
yeah, that's a good.
I'm
start.
making room for somebody else.
Yeah, apparently I am too. But how come Papa is a write-in?
Sign up.
No, I missed the sign up. I thought I was the year after you, but I guess we were in together.
I don't know. I've never kept track of anyone else's, just mine.
I thought I was.
Not that I'm
keeping
counting the
track of
meetings at
mine.
all.
What else do we have?
Yeah.
Is that, she did the roster.
I've
She
got
gives-
nothing
she gives
right
it to
now.
me.
Nothing?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
She keeps track of all that.
This one's gonna go against the grain
Would
for
it be
everything.
2-3 year seasons?
Just the way it
That would
is.
happen.
So, alright, just the way it is. You like it?
We both had 3-year
That's fine.
seats.
I think,
Adam, what about the rec?
It would be in that book.
Just a question.
no, I think.
No, the rec's definitely, and I think Carl spoke to that, and I probably could have written that as sticky note, you're right, but I don't think well on the spot. But for sure, we're looking to improve the rec and grow it
Well, it's doing
substantially. I'd
better
like to.
than it was.
5 years ago.
I was gonna say, you got considerable pushback.
Considerable pushback for the
Okay.
rec, but we're
So this is what's posted.
making strides still.
So,
But again, and it is the same thing that Carl said, it's the same people. It's me. It's me and
With
the
different shirts on.
Yeah, I took off my coach shirt, put on this shirt, and then I put on a sweatshirt and came here.
and who won?
Madison won both games.
I don't think there's.
Handily.
Was the fix on?
Down the door to do this.
Was this like a Kansas City Chiefs game?
No, we also beat these teams in Austin.
Oh, okay,
It's-
okay. Didn't know if the coaches
I
were
wrote town
paying off the
land,
refs.
what is its
No.
purpose? Can a lot be used for a housing trust to help build affordable housing?
That's a great question.
Well, I know that it can happen. The question is, would Madison want that to happen? This would
Is there
really
land
shake things
for
up. Ready?
housing?
We just went through a problem with Albany with Habitat.
Oh, yeah.
We had a good tract of land down there to put 20 houses. They approved us for 5.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
They don't want houses, cost money.
Yeah. Well,
That would be a lack of understanding. The average single-family residence actually has a net positive on the tax base. So it is also important to make sure that citizens understand that we're so far behind on building, we can only come out ahead at this point in time. Now, if you wanna think 20 years up the road, if we were successful at finding equilibrium in housing, we might actually be having the conversations we had back in the 80s and 90s, where we talked about school budgets going up, too many kids, things like that. That argument is flushed down the toilet at this point in time because all of our infrastructure completely outweighs the number of children that we have utilizing the infrastructure. So you don't have equilibrium. It's gonna take a while before we get there. We're that far behind.
I know back in '78, the first thing Ralph Chick asked me was, "You gonna have children?
Exactly. And that is
Schools are
not-
overcrowded."
just not a fear that people should have at this point in time.
I think you're gonna see the biggest problem though about affordable housing is calling it affordable is a misnomer because
There's no such thing.
there's not gonna be
Yeah.
any such thing in this area. I personally don't even think in my lifetime you're gonna see affordable housing around here because building costs are continuing to skyrocket. We have a lack of labor in the workforce, and it's continuing to drive labor rates up, which drives the cost of the new home up, which is just a cyclical cycle where it's why, homes have nearly doubled in value and price in the last 10 years.
Well, they've doubled in value because there aren't as many homes as there are people looking for homes. It's very simple supply
Yep.
and demand.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we've let it go so far that now to build a home, the cost is way up here. Thus, if Madison had something like a land trust, I don't know if you guys know what I mean by that, but I mean a decent sized lot that the town owns or they give it to a nonprofit, the Housing Authority of Madison, or whatever you wanna call it. And then you allow builders to build homes on those lots. The lot is owned by the trust, so the builder doesn't have to buy that. The trust pays for the infrastructure through the lot. So the builder doesn't have to worry about that, right? Do you see those costs coming down? That's the only way that I'm aware of at this point in time to subsidize housing from a town level. I look at what Habitat does, which is incredible. A lot of that is people beating the street for money, right? And for volunteer time to put in the electrical or paint or whatever the case may be. So it can be done. It's certainly a heavy lift and it's a lot of work, but I'm certainly not willing to give up on my community and just say, well, this is it, we're just gonna watch it die over time. I'm not comfortable with that. So I think this type of exercise is really important to help people realize, and a lot of people say to me, well, I don't want any more people in town, and I'm like, too late, the jobs are already created, the people are already here living with their parents or in a car or wherever they may be. We just need to find a way to support this economy that we've already built. I look at, it's a three-legged stool, right? You have housing, transportation, and jobs. We've crushed it in the jobs arena. Crushed it in the state of New Hampshire.
Up here
Period.
though.
But
So
We have a lot
I
of
have a
jobs up
young,
here that are not filled.
I have a young adult, recent college graduate. And he's not coming up here because he can't find a job in his field.
We're not gonna have jobs for everybody, just like I can't go work just anywhere I want.
And it's
I
a
can't go.
thing I hear from other people. They'll be like, oh, I'd love to live up here. I'd love to live up here. I just can't find the right job. you
But we
know?
do have jobs, and we do have openings.
But the
And
jobs we
that's-
have,
Yeah.
for the most part, I mean, construction, I'm gonna
Yeah,
say,
they don't pay.
construction pays very well. We've got some great individuals working at the company I work at that have paid very well. But most of the jobs in this area are service industry jobs, working at, retail and stuff like that. And unfortunately, with the way that the market is, you're talking about apartment buildings, you're talking about condos, you're not talking about single-family
I
homes.
disagree.
I
You don't have to agree with me.
no, I
The
don't.
Housing
But
Coalition does a lot of work, and I've
disagree.
seen some of your work, and it's like mixed
Mixed use,
housing.
when I talked to Josh McAllister at HEB Engineering,
Yep.
and he's trying to hire an engineer out of college at a 6-digit salary, and they don't come here because they can't find housing on a 6-digit salary. You guys, this has nothing to do with service level jobs versus this has to do with housing. We need housing of all types. I'd like to see 2 ADUs allowed on every lot by right, and I'd like one of them allowed to be detached. I think that would go a long way. Everybody's not gonna put in an ADU. I know the people who don't wanna see that are gonna say, oh my God, every lot's gonna have 2 ADUs. That is not going to happen.
You
Not
can have a
everybody-
detached ADU.
You can have one.
Yeah,
If you
Yeah.
have the lot
But
size, though,
the,
right?
but they would
You
make
get a lot
you,
inside.
if it isn't detached, they would make you, and say arbitrarily, say I lived in a house with a family of 4 my whole life. My kids move out, all right, so now it's 2 people, right? And I'm gonna have an ADU, I'm gonna have to upgrade my septic. I can't just have that on file, I'm gonna have to do that. Where, because that's what Madison says, it's more restrictive than the state. The state says I
Right.
just have to have it on file. I think what Mark, you hit it on the head earlier when you said change some of these regulations. You change that regulation, to me, that's a silly regulation. I understand if the septic's broken, you're gonna have to fix it, right? This is preventing me with less use.
Well, so because I was part of drafting that regulation, what we wanted to avoid was somebody overloading an existing septic system. And 99, I install septics, I probably put in 30 last year, probably. And 99.9% of septic systems, when they're designed, are designed for what is being built for a house at that time. So if you're going to expand that house by putting an ADU on there, or you're gonna put a detached ADU, you have to increase your septic system. You can't just put, that's a state law, that's not Madison, that's a state law, you can't
Has
add
to
an
be on
additional.
file for the state.
No, it
I mean,
has
if I have less people in my house, I'm still going to have to upgrade the septic,
It's the number of bedrooms.
Just by bedrooms, yeah.
right? So I can add, as many bathrooms as I.
Yeah.
you know.
If you're only adding bathrooms, you're not adding sleeping quarters, it's gonna increase the number of people that can stay in the house. So they have to choose something on how they're gonna base it, so New Hampshire chose bedrooms.
I mean, they've been doing that for years.
Yeah, Yeah,
Well, the State House is looking at this again to see if they can pass at the state level a second ADU by ownership right. If that passes, the State House, it was tabled, I believe, last year. I don't think they actually voted on it. I think they tabled it, but I could be wrong there. DES is gonna have to address that, because now you have a state law that says by ownership right,
But you still have to meet the
you may
DES.
do X, Y, and Z, and
Yep.
DES did address the septic issue when they came up with the first ADU
Mhm.
attached
Yep.
rule. And that was muddy for the first, 18 months or something? It was pretty ugly.
Yep.
And then they finally said, okay, wait a minute, we're making this way too hard.
But if you don't meet, if you have an attached ADU and you're taking one bedroom out of the house and you're putting it into the ADU, then you do not have to have a new septic
I
system.
understand that completely.
But if you put a detached ADU on the property immediately, there's no question, unless you're converting a bedroom and you have to permanently convert it, and you're going to have to increase the septic system. And the big problem that most people run into is, granted, we're starting to not see this as much of an issue, but we changed to 1250 minimum septic tanks back in 05, 06. And previous to that, everyone used 1,000-gallon tanks. So, but now the next problem you get to is once you get to a 4-bedroom system, it's no longer a 1250, now you're up to a 1,500. So you're potentially still having to replace the entire septic system. And I've heard plenty of people complain that I have people that come to us asking for pricing for ADUs, they want to have that put on their property, and then they freak when they hear that they have to replace their septic system because there's no way to add on to this system with the footprint it is, so on and so forth. And then they get that number and they're blown away that it's gonna cost that much. But it's for the benefit of the community to have a properly functioning septic system. You don't have, potentially effluent pouring onto your neighbor's property.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing that. I'm merely saying, I think we need to open the door to opportunity in the town of Madison. What that owner of that property chooses to do with that opportunity is their right as the homeowner. It's not our job to decide for them whether it's worth upgrading their septic,
Absolutely.
or whether they have enough of a septic to handle another bedroom because maybe they thought ahead and built their home with a big enough tank to hold 4 bedrooms, but they only put in 3. I remember seeing that in the 80s.
But it's our responsibility to make sure that they did do that.
Again, that's up the road. We're just planning right now and coming up with ideas for opportunities for the town of Madison to meet the needs of its citizens. And if allowing ADUs meets the needs of its citizens in a different way, we should be listening to that. I have no idea what the outcome of a public hearing or a public forum, like I mentioned in Ossipee. I don't know what that outcome looks like, but I'm certainly not gonna close the door because I understand the costs of development. Both commercially, to do multifamily, as well as single family. And yes, sometimes multifamily is the right thing to do. I look at the 10-unit down in Ossipee on Route 16. Kate owns that now, and he's putting in 8 more units down there. That building could easily fit somewhere in Madison and not be a blight on anything.
Which one's this? Is this Brick Manor?
It's
The
the one
one
on
that
Route
had burned?
16 that burned,
Yeah,
and then
Brick
Josh
Manor.
Kate came in
Yeah,
and
Brick
rebuilt
Manor.
it. I didn't know.
It used to be called Brick Manor because it was all
okay.
brick facade.
Really?
It used to be a brick facade on that.
Interesting.
To the right-hand side.
Yep, down just after, actually, right where almost where the tornado went
Barron's,
through.
right past Barron's.
Yes, just past Barron's,
got the units on
Barron's
the-
So
Appliances.
I
Yes.
think what Ellen's really getting at is that we're presenting ideas. The master plan is a living document. So yes, it influences the CIP, it influences zoning, and not everything has to be solved at once, and it can't be. That wouldn't work. But things can be added on as they change. So if we listen to housing and they come in and we have a section of that in the master plan, we listen to a panel on housing and we decide that, yeah, maybe we do have that land. maybe we do have opportunity to change zoning, to better align with the needs and wants of our community members, and we push that forward. It doesn't have to be, put together right then and solved right then. It can be put in the implementation plan.
Correct.
And worked on for the next 5 to 10 years. So it's giving us a way forward. So, thank you. What else do we got?
North end of 113 and Route 16, water sewer hookup for commercial development.
Okay.
North Conway has excess capacity. They've now merged Conway Village into North Conway. Next corridor is Madison Albany. I'm not saying it's gonna work, I'm not saying it's the best idea or the worst idea, but I think that if nobody considers it, that would be a shame. Because if we are able to do something like that, then we could actually, in our master plan, set aside areas where you might see some multifamily development that you wouldn't want to see necessarily in your downtown. Maybe all the citizens come in and say, I want an apartment building in the downtown. Honestly, if that's what they want, who am I to buck the system? But my point is, it's an opportunity that should be considered. I know Bartlett talked with North Conway many, many years ago about hooking in and what that would look like. They already have some town water of their own, they don't have town sewer. And opted this year, I believe, not to go that route. But again, we're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah. And we are regional, so I mean, we're not in this little vacuum. We do have so many people who live in Madison who are traveling up to Conway or over to Ossipee for work. We can also rely on them for different resources, and a lot of those resources are state resources, like the water mains and everything going through.
That would be,
or is
right
that-
now, the North Conway Water Precinct owns
okay.
those, so the town of Conway owns those, so it would be a contract with the town.
Does the
of
sewer
Conway.
come all the way down there too? I thought only the water came that far,
Down to,
down to like Coleman. Like, I know water comes to Coleman. They got a
Madison?
hydrant, yeah, they got a hydrant right there, right out back.
well, I know the sewer goes to West Main Street.
Okay.
Again, I'm not here to solve the problem today, I'm
Sure.
here to say,
Yeah, I'm
is
just
this an
curious, I'm just
option?
curious, I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't know if that is water and sewer that goes to Coleman's, be easy enough to find out. But again, if you wanna say, hey, we need affordable housing and we don't feel single-family homes are gonna be the solution, is there a way to do some multifamily that everybody can agree upon that still looks, nice enough for this community, for whatever this community wants, and meets the needs of septic load and everything else? How do you do that? We did a charrette in Ossipee, we couldn't do a multifamily, it was too expensive without town water or sewer. We could not make those numbers work. Even with Ossipee putting the land in for free. Couldn't make it work. So sometimes you do just have to step back and say, without town water or sewer, that's not gonna happen. But the housing trust idea does allow you to do some duplexes, single families and things like that. Usually you have a not-for-profit developer who's doing that. They'll sell the home to the candidate. Not unlike Habitat, it's not quite the same, but they'll sell the home to the candidate. Again, the trust owns the land. And then when the person living there wants to sell it, the trust is actually doing the affordable housing piece of it. So how much equity will they actually take away from it because they got it at a discount? What does that look like? And then you gotta make sure that the next person buying it fits that low to moderate income level that the town has set or the trust has set for people living in that development.
Would that be considered workforce housing?
Yeah,
If it's
you could
in
call it
that-
workforce housing, you could call it affordable housing, it all comes down to the amount of income that you make, and what that allows you to then use towards housing. Generally 30% is what they wanna see go towards housing costs of your total income.
What do you have, Carl?
I need to make my exit, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Nice to see you, Adam.
STRs, do we classify as, commercial for taxation? I know that they're considered residential properties, but can they be taxed as commercial properties? I don't know how that might make a difference, but as I think about the
It's-
future of STRs, if a lot of the towns zone them out and you have to grandfather in the ones that are already there,
Yeah.
is there a way?
Well, we can't zone them out, we've discovered.
Who said
Right.
that?
Am I
I-
not?
We have not discovered that.
We've not discovered that
The-
yet.
The case that went before the court was based on a commercial versus residential use, just like Conway's was. It's a
Right.
disaster.
Yeah, I know it is.
We have not gone to court over our current zoning yet.
We have not, okay.
We will. It's
Yeah,
coming.
oh yeah,
We
it's
have
definitely
not.
coming.
Next month.
Yeah,
this
because there
month,
are
this
towns
month.
that have zoned.
I mean, you really, at the end of the day, you wanna take care of affordable housing, you get rid of short-term rentals, and it will fix most of it's gonna fix itself. I truly believe that.
Oh, there aren't enough short-term rentals to fix the affordable housing problem. We'd all like to think that, but I disagree. We need over 2,300 units in Carroll County. Do we have 2,300 short-term rentals in Carroll
would-
County?
We have
I-
249
probably
in
do.
the town of
Probably
Madison.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I would almost put
Madison
money
has
on
a
that.
large chunk of it, but I don't think that it
So Conway's
will
at what,
completely solve the
450?
problem.
Conway has the highest
Yeah.
at like 450, I think. So we're talking, that's 600, and let's go 700.
Freedom's got a ton. I forget what they had. I wanna say they were damn close to Conway's number.
And if they're already short-term rentals, I don't think
A lot of them
the
are people.
courts
is
are
the
gonna
highest
allow
use
you,
area.
to force you to
Agreed.
get rid of those.
Agreed.
My point is, new development. So can the town zone out new development of short-term rentals? I don't know the answer to that. Again, my job
We
is
currently
to
have.
throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
We did, here in Madison.
Um,
But anyways,
yeah,
So, we're gonna
Sorry,
pro
guys.
SDR.
Thank you.
we did,
Have a good night, Adam.
Bye.
Alright. So, what do you have, Carl?
I just think Madison has we could use some of our resources, like the beach, a little better. You know, their beach here is a gem, but, you know, if someone is staying here and they don't, or, here's an example, I have a family friend who there's a ton of them in the area, and they wanna meet at the beach. If you don't have a sticker, you're getting $100 ticket. Right, even if it's your family at the beach. You know, so they can't have a family gathering at the beach because some of their family members live in Conway and don't have a sticker. They used to sell these like coupon books. So you wanted to have a friend come, or you have a family, or someone staying up here, you'd say, hey, you could use the beach, here's this coupon book, and you buy that. Right, that's, to me, that's a way that the town could make some revenue off the beach without having it overcrowded. So you can't use those coupon books during 4th of July week, or whatever, but that, you
I
know,
think that was
your
tried
neighbor.
and it
I
didn't
think you
work.
got a little
And I
idea.
think that
That's
the
what
reason that was
happened.
done was because the town residents were tired of going down to that beach and
Couldn't
not
find
being able to
parking.
get a parking place
Yeah,
or
and
get
now
on the
you go
beach
down
because
there
they
and
are a
it's-
resident of
it's
the town.
empty. You go down there, it's empty, right? So we had her neighbor, she, you know, lives in Madison, her friend met her after work. They got takeout. They're sitting at the picnic table eating takeout. They're the only two cars. Somebody came up and gave that other girl a ticket, $100 ticket.
that had to be the Madison police.
It
They are
was.
cracking down.
But the same token, you gotta look at what
Yep.
Yeah.
Conway's doing the same thing to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe we
I'm
could
not saying
work
it's
with
right,
Conway.
but I'm saying
I mean,
that would
we
be
should
nice,
take
'cause
care of
That would be
ourselves.
great.
We're up there
That would be
and-
great.
So we come together and figure something out.
Yeah, I was
then
gonna
we can
say,
do that.
it's-
They
we
should-
don't, this is,
Simple, have those.
Yeah, we're
take-
getting down to the.
Yeah, we
yeah,
are.
we're getting too far
we're
down
getting
into
too
it.
far down into the
But
weeds.
my
Wait,
point was
but
just
using
better
the
use of the
land better.
resources, you know, I'm not saying get overrun, by no means do I not want a parking spot at the beach, but,
But
you know, there's some, we
Maybe
could,
there's
we
some-
could
it's,
do it
it's the
better.
people thing. We should just have a chapter on the people and outlaw them. And just have no people.
Darn people.
What are people doing
Darn
here
people.
anyway? All
need
right,
a
well, that
second
gives
on that?
us,
Okay,
that gives us
so-
a start. Go
Good.
ahead, take a break.
So, okay. I mean, obviously, if we can sit here and come up with good ideas, if you get the community together and, you know, and maybe more people like Carl's argument or more people will be like the other argument and you formulate policies and visions based on that.
I think
And-
make a,
Definitely, so it's pretty much
make a
that easy.
pitch at town meeting, maybe,
But,
you know, to get people involved.
yes, yeah.
On the sad part, it's the same darn people at town meeting every year,
It's all those whiteheads.
you know? I've dragged some people, newbies in town to town meeting and they will never go again. It's happened a couple
Baptized by
times.
fire.
Your neighbor.
I bet, and they're pretty gun ho, like,
They will never go. to
they're
town
not going to get
Well,
out.
but maybe they would come to something outside of planning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Something like that, and they have, young ones too, you know.
Yeah, and you're only gonna get the input you're gonna get too,
Yeah,
so.
and we need input from all age demographics,
Yeah.
all types of, residents. So, to see that there are a lot of young people, sometimes I feel like Madison gets kind of classified as, you know, only secondary seasonal, you know, lake house, mountain home owners. But there is a huge population of work-aged folks with families. I'm part of that group. There is like 25% children in Madison, so we're always thinking, oh no, there's such a low population of kids, but there's a huge population of kids here, considering that we only have 2,700 people. So we want to hear from them. We want to hear from the people with families, and then we want to hear from the 25-26% who are retirees and above. So everybody has a voice, and for us to give them the avenue to kind of give us that feedback will only strengthen what the master plan has to say and the way that we can use it as a guiding document for the rest of the town boards and be good stewards of the land in Madison. I do have a communication plan as well. So that would be trying to engage more people by using, you know, posting things at the town hall and at the post office, but also potentially putting it out on, I'm not on Facebook, but there are Town of Madison Facebook groups that are not run by the town, they're run by other people.
Toxic. It's
A
quite
little bit.
toxic.
I am
Okay,
not
some of it,
involved.
yeah, I'd agree. Some of it's kind of garbage, but some of it
Very
is
entertaining.
actually,
Yeah, it's definitely entertaining.
some of it, I mean, you get a pulse. And like, we want a
Right.
pulse. We want to know the good, we want to know the bad. So,
I think in the past we've done Survey Monkey too.
Yeah.
a
we
survey
did.
monkey, okay, yeah,
But,
I've heard of that, yeah.
but those, you know, those questions, they can be quite quickly become push balls. Because everybody wants Madison to stay the same as it always was. And they want it to be rural but,
It's a beautiful rural place, but does that mean, so for example, so I didn't fill out any of these, but I have a lot of them, and that's probably why I'm here anyway, but, so I have a young family in Madison, and I grew up in Conway, right in downtown Conway, and not that I want Madison to be downtown Conway, but one of my favorite memories is being able to walk to school safely from a very early age, very young age, and having that neighborhood, that group of kids being able to bike to and from school, after school, bike over to the park, like,
That road,
I don't know,
that
just-
sidewalk. I saw a picture of this
the
road,
sidewalk.
you know, 100 years ago, and there was a walking path, a sidewalk,
Yep.
you know, on
Yeah.
the side of the road.
DOT will make you remove a sidewalk unless the town takes ownership of maintenance.
Who was it,
I learned
Mr.
about that because I asked the DOT guy. I was like, "So how do we get that?"
We had a guy, Mr. Hutchinson, who was trying to get the bike path.
What was his name? What was his name?
John
Out
Hutchinson.
on Silver Lake. John.
Hutchinson.
Is he still around?
I can't remember.
No.
Here? No. Oh.
I still don't know how we've kept the sidewalk down at Silver Lake, because we've never maintained it. I thought that the DOT
Oh,
would.
in the village, right in the.
Yeah, I thought DOT would have pulled it out by now, because if you don't maintain it, they take it out. But
Yeah. So I would like to see safe. I love the idea of raising my family in Madison because it's a safe community. But I would also like a safe way to get my kids to school. I would love to walk with my kids to school. I've walked on Village Road before, and people look at you like you're crazy because you're kind of in the road, basically. I mean, there's nowhere to safely walk or bike. So that's what I would like to see in Madison, just a safe way for children to get to and from school. And we do have a lot of children, so.
But your wish, your desire, and your desire are exactly what a public forum should be pulling out of people before we dig down into, well, how would you create that, right?
Yes, that's the
So one of
after.
those things that I put up there might support kids walking to school or families enjoying the beach. I realize they have nothing to do with that, but my point is, when you think about where to start, I started by saying I wanna see more young, I wanna lower the average age of the town of Madison. So you gotta start way up here. What do you want the town to look like? Then you fill in from there.
Exactly.
Well, like you mentioned housing.
To get rid of some of us old people.
We gotta go,
and-
Mark, we're out.
No, but
We're
that's
gonna
also
die at some
important.
point, but you know, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, and there is a need for senior citizens, of which my husband and I are one. We're not helping the younger population anymore in this town. We're actually hurting it.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm not talking out of school here by any way, shape, or form. I just would like to see more
But some
young
of those
people.
needs may not be so far off either because the children are not a part of a driving population, right? As in they don't drive cars.
Right.
So they're walking around, there's a population of elderly people who don't drive, there's people with, you know, disabilities, they aren't driving. So there is that demographic as well, and being able to hear from them, maybe they would enjoy that too. So that was just one of mine. My other crazy one was, I have a dog, and I'd love to be able to bring my dog anywhere in Madison, you know, without getting a ticket. So, like a dog park or something like that. Or just leniency on the regulation for having dogs in the public spaces.
Well, down at the foot of the lake, we have
Dog
what
beach.
some people call the boat ramp.
Dog beach.
I call it the dog launch, because everyone brings
Now
their
you
dog
can
in
bring
there
your
to
dog.
swim because they're
Is
not
that the
allowed on
spot?
the beach.
So I just feel like you might come into this and think, oh, hey, no one's gonna have the same idea as me because, you know, I'm super young, there's not enough families, like no one's gonna fall in line, or I'm older, you know, they want me gone. No, we don't want you gone, like that's not what anyone should get out of this. We want to hear what everyone has to say, if possible.
When did they
2,700
change
people.
the rules at Dog Beach?
Well, let's not get too far in the weeds. let's
This is high
let's
level,
at
high level.
this point make a plan for
Everybody's
our master plan committee, so we have some structure for when we meet again. And so what needs to be done for that? do we wanna try to reach out to a couple people? And,
I think the biggest thing is
Yeah.
gonna be a town meeting, is to get some recruits.
Yeah, so I think maybe I should kind of cross out what I was hoping to do there with the survey
okay,
in trying to engage people to take the survey.
okay,
I can keep a lot of the stuff on there and just have it be more engaging, kind of like that.
yep,
Like, all right, what do you guys want? That kind of
Yeah.
thing, just
Yeah.
spitball it. And not have the QR code. I do have a survey, a rough draft of a survey, that it would be a general questionnaire for the town. But I think the main goal of going to the meeting or the voting session would be to get people to come
yep.
and join in. If that's okay with you, it will just slow it down a little bit.
Yeah,
What's the structure of the people? We have 3 people from the planning board. What other people are gonna be on the steering committee?
So, you said that your wife is
My
at the
my wife has
library?
agreed to represent the library, because last time we were talking about this, we were asking possibly for a representative from there, from all the groups in town, so.
Okay, so I think that, would you be willing to ask her if she will come and be a part of the
Oh,
steering
absolutely,
committee,
she-
come to the
oh,
next one?
yeah.
and-
Yeah,
Okay,
if you got another
Yeah.
meeting,
We
unless she's got a
envision-
conflict, I'm sure she'll come.
okay.
We envisioned somebody from Idleweiss too, or, you know,
Yeah.
that would be important.
yeah,
And I can put an email together
Also-
and ask. And
Ralph
send it back.
has, I think, I will verify with Ralph, but I think Ralph has also.
oh, okay, yeah. Cause
Conser-
Ralph can do like conservation and Idlewild.
Yeah, I think he expressed that, I can't remember when, but I know we said we talked about it. I don't remember,
I
we
get
run
it.
into each other,
I'm with you on
but I
that.
can confirm that with him.
And we didn't have the chance to review the master plan, the O2 master plan. Not that I was gonna have you go through every single section of it, but I did want to just say maybe what the sections going forward could be, and that's in the notes, so if you'd rather read through it
Okay.
and make your own notes, you can email them to me, or we can talk about it.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Is
Yeah.
that, okay, is
You
that,
have to explain that part to her, cause she doesn't know that, so any.
yeah, I've never been on like a town.
Right, so you can't email.
We can't communicate
Oh, correct.
outside
You
of
can't-
this forum.
Right.
And so
Okay.
email, if
Right.
it smells like we're communicating, it's bad.
And that's why
Okay.
Tia, I
It
told
has to
you I
become
would
part of
do
the record.
it because I
Okay.
can do it.
Same as New Hampshire
Send
Housing.
things to the
Yeah.
board, but I don't think you should
Okay.
at all.
Yeah.
Cause you're also an alternate, so.
Right, so
No.
board members don't talk.
It
We
constitutes,
see each other in the
constitutes a
store.
meeting.
Well, one-on-one,
You turn the other way.
Yes,
Constitutes
it's
each
good
other.
that way, correct.
One-on-one, we can have a conversation,
Okay.
but it's sending formal documents. You should definitely read the 91A RSA's and
no, you don't have,
familiarize.
just if it smells like.
You can do that too, but
And there was just a
I
question
read-
here
I read
on
'em.
91A and
Yeah.
it was today.
Oh, okay, cause
But
I
I
asked
will
Kate
check
if
on-
I could get-
NHMA and see when they have another course, because that would be something good for you to take, to kind of familiar, so you know, like, where you're, that's why, like I said, to you know, I'll take care of the agenda, because I can send them anything,
Okay.
but you're on the board now, so that's,
you seem to
Okay,
be
so
well
that's
read. That's
why
why
I
I
can't do
suggested
it.
reading the RSA, because the
Right.
RSA, it's fairly self-explanatory, but
right.
Okay.
I'll
I'll do
email
that
it, I
too.
can send it to you.
But I have
Yeah.
it at the Supreme Court with the RSA too,
okay.
so.
Okay, so then you can make your notes on that and just kind of see,
And we can do this Thursday and, Thursday. We can do this, February and finalize that. So if we read comments on the existing master plan and finalize the questions that we want to present at town meeting in March,
yes.
so.
And we'll have a meeting in March.
And we'll have a meeting in February, because, well, we have a
What
meeting
is
before.
February?
This is
This
February.
is February, Mark.
This is February?
It is, all month.
Oh, month. We have a meeting in March this month.
January lasts forever.
We are, aren't we?
Just jumped right in.
Wondering where I
What-
was.
What day is the
March.
March meeting?
Our meeting is the 5th of
Fifth.
March, and town meeting is the 15th. I believe that's correct.
Back
Yeah,
from
that's
Florida,
correct.
14th.
All
March.
right.
What happened to February?
We're in February.
I know.
So then I guess I would just ask that you read through the compiled list of suggestions and goals. That's what I took from the old master plan.
Okay.
And I really wanted to ask the board, you know, what has been completed and what just never really came to be.
Okay.
And then also the first draft of the content. So I took what, if you look up on the board here, those were the sections from the O2 master plan, this one here. So I looked at that, and then I put together a new draft, including, like I said earlier, the survey results and an implementation plan. So this is what we have, and then I sent you a draft of a revision. So basically, what I think we could do, D1, for you to tell me what you really think
Okay.
and what can be added and taken out. So that would be helpful. And then I also gave you a draft 1 of the survey questions as a general questionnaire.
Okay.
So that would be a good start.
Now, is this meeting gonna happen at our planning board meeting, or is this meeting planned to happen at a different time?
I think we should just do it at planning board. I think everybody's got too many meetings and.
So who's gonna be, we started going down through the list, because you're gonna have to contact people to have them at that next meeting then. I got 5 people right now, 3 planning board members, a library, and Idlewild/conservation.
Am I allowed to email them? Or again, Kate, do I go to you to send out the email to, Idlewild, a commissioner from Idlewild or a rep from Idlewild?
If it's just the steering committee, is that a problem?
You're not having
The steering
Yeah.
committee doesn't have a quorum of
I-
this
I-
group.
I think
Correct.
if you invite people,
Right.
That's okay.
Yes.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
You're not conducting any bids.
Yeah.
But again, if it's just the steering committee, emails can go back and forth amongst the steering committee. There's no quorum to this body and the steering committee.
That's a good point.
So the steering committee should be putting things together and then coming to this board periodically, monthly, and then reporting out to this board. This is what the steering committee did this month, this is where we're at,
I-
so on and so forth.
I would suggest, if that's the plan, that we probably talk to the attorney, because if this is an official town committee, there might still be a problem with a quorum and sending out emails. I would suggest that be looked into.
Okay.
Because if it's an official committee, I believe it still has to follow 91A requirements, which would require that, again, you now have a quorum of that committee. It might not be a quorum of this board, but it'll be a quorum of that committee, which would mean that you would still have to follow 91A and
You're
not.
still gonna be doing minutes, you're still gonna.
Right, I'm pretty sure that you're still gonna have a quorum and it's still gonna be a problem. I think it's still gonna be a 91A violation. And I might be wrong on that, that's why I
Is it a
suggest.
violation, or is it that you have to be transparent and make all those records public?
No, you cannot have emails, because that is a non-published, non-noticed meeting.
See, if I send out an email to this board, I will put in my email.
Do not
Please
reply.
do not reply all.
That's what we do
Reply
with New
individually
Hampshire,
to me, because they can respond to me, it's fine, because I'm not having, they're not
Correct.
having.
Yeah.
But if but sometimes they hit reply all, I'm like, oh, and then
Right.
they get the axe from me, like,
Right.
no.
Yeah, I would check with the steering committee, there has to be a way for the steering committee to meet and then be able to bring that work to this body.
No, I think there's totally is a way for that to happen, I just don't think the emails, that, we just need to look into that, just talk to the attorney, because I think the emails thing will cause a problem.
Okay.
You can use email to communicate, you just can't have conversations through email,
Okay, that makes sense.
right? According
No.
to what you just
No.
said, she
So
can
she
send an
can send
email.
it out.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, yes.
You can have emails to communicate what you wanna say.
As
You
long
can't
as
have
they reply.
conversations.
Correct. They can reply to me individually, which they do.
Right.
But, yes, so, the way I understand it is that a non-member of the board is allowed to transmit, or committee, is allowed to transmit information out, that is information being provided to the group.
Right.
Correct, that would be Kate, and that individual members of the board are not allowed to send out communiques to the entire board saying, you know, providing that information. They have to provide it to our administrator, who then
Correct.
disseminates that to
Anybody
everyone
who
else.
wants, Mark wants me to send something, or, you know, I can give it to me, and then I take it from
We're
there.
not the
Yeah.
only town doing this. I say we pick up the phone and call other towns and say, how did you do this? Certainly call the attorney and ask them as well, but I'll make 2 phone calls tomorrow. I'll ask Conway how they did it, and I'll ask Ossipee how they did it. And then we can talk to our lawyers, but we're not reinventing the wheel, I guess, is
Sure.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be a big deal. We just need to ask the questions and be done with it. I'm a get her done kind of girl, sorry.
Everything's okay until everything's okay.
That's the
So I
problem.
understand, this is not my first day on earth, I get it, you know.
It's like, well,
We've had issues with 91A in the past, and we don't wanna have more.
I don't,
Okay.
about that either.
they cost a lot of money.
They do.
I
They're not
understand.
worth it.
Nope.
Better to be ultra safe than.
Can I make a motion, Mr. Chairman,
What would that motion be, Mr. Marks?
to adjourn?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Well, thank
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That's you, and that's you.
Well, very good. I think with your energy that we can pull this off.
I think you're doing a wonderful job. I think
Yeah.
it's-
So,
I think it'll be great. Well, we're